Hi, this is Roy Furr, and I want to thank you for joining me for this presentation on why your copy isn't converting and, importantly, how to fix it. Now, in this presentation, you are going to get specific steps to improve your copy, getting you more leads, sales, customers, and conversions. Simple promise, and I encourage you to watch till the very end if that's exactly what you want. And the result of that is going to be more profit for you, more revenue, more royalties if you are a copywriter, but this certainly applies to business owners too and marketers writing their own copy. And most importantly, to have a bigger impact on your life as the person that is writing copy and putting offers out into the world, a bigger impact on your customer's life because you are selling them good products and services that are going to improve their life, bigger impact on those around you, your employees, your family, all of that. You're going to make a bigger impact in the world by writing more effective copy. Before we get started though, I want you to stop. I want you to stop and I want you to focus. Shut down Facebook, shut down any sort of distractions that you have up. I know that the temptation when we're watching one of these presentations is to, give it half our attention and to look through other things, answer some emails while the presentation is going on. But that's not how you're going to get the most out of this information-packed presentation. How you're going to get the most out of this information-packed presentation is by giving me your focus, giving me your attention, taking notes, and working on how you can apply this moving forward. So with that said, let's dive in. Now I want to start, before I start telling you how to improve your copy, I feel like it's relevant for you to know why the heck you should believe me. And so who's Roy Furr? From gas company call center to titans of direct response copywriter. So, about a decade ago, a little more than a decade ago, I was working, I had just graduated with my degree in psychology, a bachelor's degree in psychology from University of Nebraska. And at the time, the best job that I could get with that bachelor's degree in psychology was answering customer service calls for the local gas company, working in their call center. And it was really a miserable existence because when people hadn't paid their bill all winter long, they would actually call me and yell at me to complain that we actually came out and shut off their service on the first warm day of spring. And, it was definitely soul-sucking working in that kind of occupation. Other people have worked in all sorts of similar occupations where it feels so unfulfilling. But the good thing about that job for me was I worked an evening shift, and so I actually had time to read between calls. After about 7 p.m., nobody really wants to call the gas company. And so I would read books between calls. And I discovered this thing called direct response copywriting. And it's where you write copy that actually is expected to generate a business result. And something about it hooked me, and I fell into the rabbit hole. And ever since then, it's been basically an upward trajectory into the highest heights of the direct response world. In my first few years after discovering copywriting, I almost immediately got a marketing job. We quickly doubled the company, put them on Inc. magazine's list of America's fastest growing small businesses. A few years later, I went out on my own and started working as a consultant and copywriter for all sorts of businesses and in all sorts of industries. And then not too long ago, a friend and colleague of mine, Brian Kurtz, calls me up, and Brian had been kind of second in command at Boardroom Inc. as they grew from a couple $1 million a year to over $100 million a year on the strength of their direct response marketing and their copy. And Brian was putting on a going away party of sorts and also a seminar to honor his business partner and the founder of Boardroom, Marty Edelston. And Brian calls me up and he asked me to actually write the sales copy for this event. And this is an event that featured many of my heroes and some of the greatest names in direct marketing. Dan Kennedy, Gary Bensavinga, Jay Abraham, Greg Rinker, co-founder of Guthrie Rinker, Kim McCarthy, Perry Marshall, Joe Sugarman, Fred Katona, Boardroom's top copywriters, Brian and a few of his friends and colleagues that he's in a mastermind with. And it was the biggest event in our industry in probably at least a decade. And it was quite an honor to be able to work with Brian and put together the promotion for it. And it was almost a bigger honor when, after reading that copy, I got this note from Gary Bencivenga, widely considered the world's greatest living copywriter. He said, "Hi, Roy, great job on the seminar copy. It's very hard to write for other writers, doubly difficult when they're copywriters, and triply challenging when it's all about their bios. But you did it, and your promo sings. All good wishes, Roy. Gary B." I also got AWAI's 10K Challenge Award. This was a few years back, right after I went out on my own, as their top up-and-coming copywriter in the industry. And I've become known for working with clients on multi-million dollar promotions. I've broken sales records for my clients. I've helped them launch products and brands, and I've had a string of success with copywriting and direct response marketing. Now, who are you? Who is this presentation most relevant for? Well, I see three different people, actually, three different types of people who are going to get the most out of this. If you're a business founder, or owner, or entrepreneur, and you use copy to sell your products and services, well, what you're going to learn in this presentation will definitely help you with making your copy more effective. If you're a marketer who works with copywriters, who hires copywriters, maybe does some of the copy yourself, what you're going to learn in this presentation is going to make your copy more effective. And if you're a copywriter writing for clients, what you're going to learn in this presentation is going to make your copy more effective. No matter what, if you have your fingers in direct response copy, in copy that's expected to go out there and generate a sale, generate a new customer, generate a profit, what you learn in this presentation is going to make your copy more effective. And it doesn't matter if you wrote the copy that we're talking about, or if you hired a copywriter and you want to put the finishing touches on it. And it doesn't matter the kind of copy: video sales letters, landing pages, direct mail pieces, webinar scripts, email sequences, launch copy, space ads, advertorials, whatever. On the surface, all of these have different things that make them successful, different requirements to fit the format. However, down deep, there are consistent requirements, consistent needs that lead to highly effective copy. And what we're going to speak about today is what needs to happen underneath the sales strategy, the sales thinking that needs to happen underneath in order to have successful copy in any one of these formats. Our goal is to boost your conversions. So when I was putting together this presentation, I was thinking largely in terms of the copy that you already have written, that you've already put together. While you can take what you learn in this presentation and write better copy going forward, this is really about copy that you have out there in the marketplace right now, and how can we make it better? How can we make sure that it checks off all the boxes and it's more effective at generating new customers, new sales, profits, and so on? In order to do that, in order to boost your conversions, you have to find and solve the most common copy challenges. We all make mistakes. We all miss things when we're putting copy together. And the quickest way to improve the response to the copy is to identify all the common copy challenges that we face when we're writing copy, and make sure that we are solving them, that we are taking the right step every step of the way. And so those challenges, those problems that we face in copy, it really breaks down to these 7 things. And I'm going to read through these really quick because we're going to come back and use questions to solve these problems. So number 1 problem, it doesn't capture the attention of your ideal target market. It doesn't get the attention of the people who will turn into buyers for your offer, for your product or services. Number 2, it doesn't get read or consumed. So maybe you got their attention, but for whatever reason, you can't hold it. Number 3, it doesn't present a clear problem solution, meaning it doesn't give them something that they need to solve. It doesn't give them something that they need to respond to. Almost all, even if the problem is that I don't have enough of what I want, almost all marketing and products come down to a problem that exists and a way to solve it. And in your marketing, you need to be clear about that problem and the solution. It doesn't demonstrate believability, credibility, and proof you can fulfill on your promises. So if you are overhypey, or you just aren't clear on your credibility or your believability, you don't present that in a compelling way, then it's very easy for your copy to fall flat and not get the response that you want. It doesn't establish buying criteria for your unique solution. In order for somebody to want to purchase from you, they have to believe that your solution is the ideal one. And you can set up the buying criteria in their mind through your marketing in order to get them to choose your solution over every other option available to them. It doesn't make a compelling offer. So copy without an offer or without a compelling offer is almost guaranteed not to get response, because you don't give people a reason to respond. And it doesn't make the prospect act now. And not only do you need to have something that they have interest in and desire that they want, but you have to stir them to action. And so we're going to talk about that. Solving these problems requires asking the right questions. And for the vast majority of the rest of this presentation, that's what we're going to focus on: the questions that you can ask about your copy in order to solve these problems and boost your response, boost your conversions. So let's talk about capturing attention. One of the best ways to capture attention is to call out to your ideal target market, the specific buyer who would be most interested in taking you up on your offer. Is it clear within the first couple seconds that your message is for them? Do you call out to your ideal target market? So that's the first step. So, homeowners, or there's a famous old ad that's just corns ? Well, if you have corns, that's calling out to you. Or you could speak to me and say, music producers, I like to produce music, or electronic music producers, or copywriters, business owners, that sort of thing. Just call out to your ideal target market. It doesn't have to be that direct. It can be a little more indirect, but it should be clear within the first couple seconds that that your ideal target market is in the right place. Does it interrupt the prospect and pull them out of whatever else they're doing? Do you use a pattern interrupt, which is just something to shock them, to disrupt the conversation that's going on in their head? Is it shocking or surprising? Is it exciting or new? Basically, what's going on with your prospect right now is they're in a trance. They are focused on all sorts of other things that are not your marketing, and unless you have a captive audience with your prospects, you really must make sure that one of the first things you're doing is bringing their attention to you. So the big stop sign that I used at the beginning of this presentation, and telling you to stop and focus, that's a great way just to interrupt the conversation going on in your head. You're not used to it, and so suddenly you're paying more attention. Does it convey an urgent problem or a compelling benefit of the solution in a way that can't be ignored? So we are focused so often with marketing on benefits and features and problems and solutions. Well, what have you done to put that up front so that your prospect who wants the benefit of the solution or who has the problem is able to immediately recognize, yeah, this is something I want to pay attention to? Does it catch my curiosity in a way it's more painful to ignore than to engage with? I think of John Carlton's crazy story ads in the golf market here, that he always had just this compelling story that you had to figure out the amazing secret of the one-legged golfer. Well, you have to figure that out. It's more painful to ignore it than to try and figure out who this one-legged golfer is and what their secret is. Does it feel new, unique, original? It's critical in your marketing and advertising if you want to capture attention for what you're saying to feel somehow new or compelling, unique, original to your target market. So let's talk about how to ensure that your message gets consumed. So is the ad interesting and worth consuming on its own? Does it promise and fulfill on valuable content in the ad itself? So is your ad presented in such a way that people feel like they are better off as a result of consuming it, of reading it, of watching it, if it's video format, of listening, if it's audio? Do they feel better off as a result of reading, watching, listening it than they would if they ignored it? If you're continuously delivering interesting, compelling value in addition to your marketing message and weaving them together in a way that makes sense, then people will pay attention through a rather long marketing message. Does it conform to the power of one good idea, one core emotion, one captivating story, one single desirable benefit, and one inevitable response? I got this from Mark Ford, Michael Masterson, same guy, just pen name. And it was one of the most important things when I was getting started as a copywriter was realizing that I often tried to say way too much. And so people didn't follow along with me because it wasn't tied back to this one good idea. I took things in 15 different directions. But then as soon as I started telling one story in my marketing, that was really the secret. That became the secret to generating these $1 million promotions, to writing these huge success sales letters. So do I have one good idea that I'm basing this on? Does it stimulate one really strong core emotion? Is there one captivating story that it's built around? Is there one benefit that we're really focused on, one inevitable response? And then is it easy to read? Is the FK, Flesch Kincaid score, at 7.5 or below? That's also from Mark Ford, that he did an analysis of the editorial content of dozens and dozens of investment newsletters and found that the renewal rate was highest when the FK score was lowest, meaning even sophisticated investors appreciated reading things that didn't tax their intellect just for them to get the message out of it. So you need to focus on how you can present your message in a simple language, in easy to understand language. You can convey complex ideas in simple language, and your reader will appreciate you for it. They will also respond more to your marketing. Does the narrative flow logically? Does it make sense? People are not going to keep reading if they're just confused. Is it full of enough compelling information and stories delivered fast enough that it's entertaining and stimulating? So it needs to be dense. It needs to be full of exciting information, stories, and we've really begun to develop a MTV attention span such that we will watch and pay attention to long things. We just need to be constantly stimulated. And that is something that you have to do in your advertising as well. Does the ad stimulate my curiosity and intrigue to keep me engaged? So does it keep teasing me with things to come? Does it keep supporting the message by pushing it forward and by leading into the next thing? Speaking of the next thing, does it present a clear or you need to present a clear problem and solution? So we've got the attention, we're encouraging consumption, and now it's time to make sure that our problem and solution are clear and compelling to our prospect. So is the problem or challenge your offer helps the prospect to overcome presented early and clearly? So this isn't necessarily presenting the solution early, but the problem itself needs to be presented early, because people will say, okay, this is for me. I have that problem. I want to have it overcome. I want to, get better conversion rates on my copy. I want to, whatever it is. And if you present the problem early, people will stay engaged to you to try and get the solution. And then is the solution offered clearly tied to the problem? It's very easy to disconnect these if you try and get creative with your advertising, as opposed to being focused on making the sale. So you have to make sure that the solution you offer is tied to the problem in a way where it makes logical sense that if they have the problem, the solution is what they need. And then are the problem and solution big enough to compel the prospect to action? I've dealt with this, tried to sell largely the same product in two different ways on two different projects for a client. And both of them made sales. Both of them were profitable for the client. But we ran into a situation where one of the promotions did roughly 10 times the revenue of the previous one because it was just a bigger problem within the prospect's life. It was a problem that they resonated with, that they were interested in solving more than the second one. And I don't want to give away too many details, but really you are looking at like a 10-to-1 difference. If you nail down the problem, if it's something that resonates, that's actually keeping them up at night, that actually has their heart palpitating when they think about it, that is causing them emotional distress, and you have a compelling solution to that problem, well, that's obviously going to move them to take a lot more action versus something that they feel is not, at the same level of urgency. Then you have to demonstrate believability, credibility, and proof. And so we ask, is the voice one of credibility and authority? Too many copywriters, especially when they're novices, when they're new, and especially when they're writing for client work, and I count myself among the people that have made this mistake, too many copywriters kind of have weak knees when it comes to speaking with authority in copy. And what happens is that your lack of belief in your message gets passed through to the prospect. And so if you don't have a voice of credibility and authority, your prospect won't lend you the credibility that you need to convince them to buy. They will not see you as an authority on the subject, on the product that you have to offer, and so they won't purchase from you. Is the voice confident in its message and the offer being made? The same thing here, but we'll focus on the offer for a minute. I have certainly seen folks who have done a great presentation. Maybe it's a webinar, and they do this great presentation on the webinar about this incredible selection of content. And then when it comes time to pitch their offer, they fall on their face. Basically, they lose all confidence in what they're saying. And you can just hear it in their voice. It's suddenly a different voice. It doesn't convey any sense of confidence in the action that they want you to take. And as a result, you don't have confidence, and so you don't respond. Is there compelling proof behind what is being said? Well, we all have this natural inclination when it comes to marketing and advertising to not really believe what's being said at first blush. We want proof. We want backing. We want somebody to stand behind what they're claiming with figures and facts. And if you don't have that, if you don't work that into your presentation, into your marketing message, into your copy, then you're not going to convince the prospect that what you're saying is true. Are the promises big but believable? And here's where you toe the line. There's promises that feel like they're so out there that they could never be true. And there are promises that are so small that they're not compelling. And you have to find the sweet spot for you, for your product, for your market, for whatever it is you're selling, such that you're able to make a big promise that really gets the prospect's heart palpitating, gets them excited. However, if you make it too big, it's no longer believable. And so you risk being labeled as somebody who's just full of hype and nobody responds to you. And it's important to note that the previous point, the compelling proof, allows you to make bigger promises and maintain your believability. How does your copy handle skepticism and objections? So there's really two ways to handle skepticism and objections. One is the novice way, and that's to ignore it, to try and hope that the prospect will not think of the objections, will not raise skepticism, and hope that you're going to make the sale that way. On the other hand, it's to embrace it and to recognize that somebody who is skeptical, that means that they're paying attention, that they are thinking about your offer, and that they're probably actually kind of interested in your promises. If they have objections, that's saying, I'm not ready to buy it until this one thing is addressed. Well, if you are able to meet your skepticism and objections head on, you are so far ahead of the person who tries to ignore them that it's not even funny. You can significantly increase the response to your promotion simply by really addressing the major questions that are relevant to promises that you're making, to your offer, and so on. And then this last question is kind of interestingly worded. Does it speak within the confines of the market's pre-existing beliefs such that they don't have to change their beliefs or identity to read and respond? One of the hardest things to do in marketing is to get somebody to change kind of their core beliefs and especially their identity, who they think of themselves as. So if you were trying to sell something dealing with, politics is the great divider, I suppose. If you were selling a political message of some shape and you were trying to sell Republican values to Democrats or Democratic values to Republicans, progressive values to conservatives, conservative values to progressives, well, that's a much higher hurdle to jump than selling progressive values to progressives and conservative values to conservatives, Democratic values to Democrats, and Republican values to Republicans. And so if you're able to speak within the confines and the language of the market's pre-existing beliefs, then they say, okay, this person is like me, and it's easy for me to get on their side. And by not making them change their beliefs or identity to read and respond to your marketing and advertising, and in fact, reinforcing their pre-existing beliefs and reinforcing their sense of identity that aligns with your product or service, well, that actually will make them resonate with you on a deeper level, follow you, and be more likely to respond. Now it's time to establish buying criteria for your solution. Is there a unique selling proposition? Is it clear in your copy, in your marketing message, what it is that makes your offering distinct from every other option? In other words, is it clear why I should do business with you over every other option available to me in the market, including going to a competitor, doing it myself, or doing nothing at all? So there's all sorts of options to us as we're going to make a purchase. And, let's say I want a new bookshelf. Well, and you're selling me bookshelves. So why should I do business with you over every other option available to me in the market, including going to a competitor? So you sell bookshelves, but other people sell bookshelves. Walmart sells bookshelves. IKEA sells bookshelves. There's high-end bookshelves. There's low-end bookshelves. There's all sorts of places that I can go to buy bookshelves. Why should I do business with you over a competitor? Or maybe I could build a bookshelf myself. Maybe I'm able to do woodworking. Maybe I'm able to do a custom bookshelf that would fit my needs perfectly. Why should I do business with you instead of building my own bookshelf or doing nothing at all? Maybe I don't need bookshelves. Maybe I can just keep stacking my books up in the corner. Maybe I can just use whatever I already have. So you have to answer these, maybe not directly for each one. However, it should be clear in your mind as the marketer, as the person who is creating this marketing message, as the copywriter, why I should do business with you over every other option available to me in the market, including going to a competitor, doing it myself, or doing nothing at all. And that is the root of your unique selling proposition. Now, have you established clear and compelling buying criteria that only your offer fulfills? And so, in the context of this USP, there are a number of decisions that can be made about a product. And one of my favorite stories in this regard is actually a client that I was working with selling a solar generator. And this is a backup solar generator that you would use if the power goes out. And we were looking at all the other options available on the market, and he was discussing kind of his strategy and why he invented this particular solar generator and why he chose the different features and technology that went into it. And he said that before he decided he was going to actually make his own, he bought a lot of the leading solar generators on the market. And he really at that time was thinking, well, I'd love to just be able to sell somebody else's solar generator to my clients. But he was finding problems with each of them, including one of the top generators on the market had 17 proprietary fuses, such that if you were in the middle of an extended power outage and you were using this generator and a fuse went out, well, you would have to somehow get a hold of this company to get one of these proprietary fuses delivered to you. And it was pretty much impossible. It made it unworkable. If one of the fuses failed, basically your whole generator failed and you were out of luck. And so my client said that he didn't want that for his customers. And so instead he installed a marine grade circuit breaker. So if there's an electrical problem, it actually just flips a switch. And all that you have to do to get your generator operational again is to flip that switch back. And by telling that story in actually a more condensed version than I just told you, we were able to establish the buying criteria of, oh geez, you should only buy a backup generator with breakers and not fuses. And ours has the breaker. Well, you go down the list of all the different features of the product and how your product is a unique combination of those features put together for very specific reasons. Well, suddenly you've established buying criteria that only your offer fulfills. And that's probably the most valuable thing that I could tell you in this presentation right now. And it's an incredibly powerful selling tool. And then have you used your buying criteria to eliminate all other options? So you go down the list and you say, listen, ours is the only one that fulfills on this. And that's what makes your product unique. Then make a compelling offer. Have you presented the offer in a way where the value feels overwhelmingly tilted in my favor as the buyer? So I want to feel like I'm getting an incredible deal by taking you up on your offer. Are there relevant bonuses that add value to the product? And so is it relevant to add in premiums, additional items at no additional charge that make the product feel more valuable? Is the guarantee dramatized in the most compelling way? Does it feel like I'm trying it today instead of making a commitment? Gary Halbert's famous facelift in a jar ad basically said they had an empty bottle guarantee. So if you use this facelift in a jar for the next 30 days and you feel like, and your friends don't accuse you of going to get a facelift, of going to get plastic surgery, send the empty bottle back and we will give you your money back. Well, basically that's a 30-day guarantee, but it's dramatized in a compelling way. And you don't feel like you're making a commitment. You feel like you're just trying it out and seeing if it fulfills on the promises made in the marketing. And the better you are at presenting your offer, if you have a guarantee, the better you are at presenting your offer as some kind of opportunity to try the product, the easier it is for your prospect to respond. Is the risk of the transaction removed from me, the buyer, and taken on 100% or more by you, the seller? So, one of the very important decisions that we make in making a purchase is we don't want the risk of this transaction going wrong. And the bigger the transaction feels, whether that's time commitment or money commitment or whatever, the bigger the transaction feels, the more risk averse the buyer becomes. And you can make it far easier for your prospect to respond simply by reversing the risk of the transaction, by taking on the risk. In some cases, it's appropriate to offer a better than money back guarantee. It's appropriate to offer, you keep all the free bonuses, even if you decide that this isn't a fit for you. Anything that you can do to really make the buyer feel like you have such confidence in what you're offering that you're willing to take on all the risk of the transaction and then some. That's exactly what it takes for them to get over that hurdle of feeling like there's more risk to respond than not respond. And then, is there a payment plan if relevant? If your product or service calls for it, it might make sense to simply break it up. And there's all sorts of payment plans. There's don't pay for 30 days. There's pay $1 for 30 days and the rest once the product has proven itself. There's 3 monthly payments. There's all sorts of ways to work out a payment plan. But the idea here is that you want to make it as financially easy on your prospect to respond as possible. Make the prospect act now. So this is the final element, and it's all about urgency. Is there a time-based urgency element? Is there a quantity-based urgency element? So there are different kinds of urgencies that may get your prospect to respond. Is there a personal reason presented for why it's urgent? So, time-based urgency element may be, this is a product launch, and after whatever date, then you won't even be able to get it anymore. Or we have 20 of these in stock right now, and once they're gone, either you won't be able to get them or there's an extensive delay. Personal reason presented for why it's urgent. Well, maybe the urgency is not in your court. Maybe it's in their court. Maybe if you're selling a health product, it could be related to protecting their health or reversing a disease that's only going to get worse. It could be there could be all sorts of reasons why they may have personal internal motivations for why it's urgent, and you need to think about that. But it's important as you start to build out your urgency elements to answer this. Do the urgency enhancers feel believable and not gimmicky? If you are saying that there's only 20 copies of your ebook left, well, it's hard to believe that. There has to be some very credible, believable urgency built into your offer. And, just putting a cap on the number of digital products, especially if your customers are going to see through it and see, 3 weeks later that you're offering the same cap on the same digital products, it's just not believable. It feels gimmicky. And so you have to use real urgency enhancers. You have to use believable urgency enhancers when and where you can, but you don't want to overuse them if they're not real, if they're not relevant. So when you fix these problems, when you answer these questions in a way that is most supportive of people responding to your offer, you will capture the attention of your ideal target market. You'll get your marketing message read or consumed in whatever media. You will present a clear problem solution that your prospect will want to respond to. You'll demonstrate believability, credibility, and proof that you can fulfill on your promises. You'll establish a clear buying criteria for your unique solution that leads them to the decision that yours is the only option that they want to go with. You'll make a compelling offer that will make them want your product, that'll make them desire your service. And you'll get them to act now. You'll get them to not be a fence sitter, to actually take action and give you their money, give you their business. So let me ask you a question before we wrap up here. What would it be worth to you to transform the copy you have right now and make it hit on all these points? If you imagine these as a bunch of speed bumps throughout your copy, how much faster do you think your prospect would go to the sale if you took out all the speed bumps, if you smoothed out the road for them such that they could just go straight through those 7 points and respond to your offer? Would you rather go it alone, making that smooth road for your prospect through your copy, trying to implement what you've learned? Or would you rather have it done for you, have an outside perspective, look into your copy and recognize where those speed bumps were in place and where they needed to be taken out and how to do it? What would it be worth to you to have a proven professional copywriter dive into your copy and give you specific advice on how to make it convert more? Well, here's what I'd like to do for you. I'll help you find the breakthrough edits and tweaks that you can make to your copy to instantly boost the conversions, sales, and profits that you're making. I'll help you identify those speed bumps and get them out of the way. And it doesn't matter the type of copy, sales letters, email sequences, landing pages, direct mail pieces, videos, whatever. I'll give you specific recommendations to make it work better. And the way that you get that is by doing a copy review with me. The big picture of this is you're getting a world-renowned copywriter helping you improve your copy. I spend an hour reviewing your copy, making notes, and giving specific suggestions for how to make it work better. That's worth $750 if you just wanted me to spend an hour looking at your copy and making notes on it. We then get on the phone or Skype and do a deep dive on my comments as well as the big picture thoughts on the copy. Again, an hour on the phone or Skype, it's worth $750, probably worth a lot more to you in terms of sales and revenue and royalties and all of that. But the value there is at least $750. Plus you get an audio recording of the copy review that you can refer to as you make edits. Easily another $100 just to have that kind of ongoing reference. So you're not relying just on notes. So you're relying, on the words that came out of my mouth, giving the specific recommendations to make your copy better. And you can also submit the edited version of the copy up to 3 months after the review for a quick reaction from me. Now, this is something I usually haven't done at all for copy reviews, but I feel like it's especially relevant to make sure that you've followed through on the recommendations and that your copy really has taken that step up in what it's going to take to boost conversions and to make more sales from it. So it's probably 15 minutes of my time just to give a quick reaction, a quick impression. Again, value $200 and worth every penny. So adding those up, total value $1,800. And really, it's a great deal because clients normally pay me $20,000 and more to have me work on their stuff, to put my thinking behind their marketing messages, and to create the marketing messages for them. And this actually works out to be a far lower priced way to get my best thinking for you on your project. Now, packaged up, I don't normally charge $1,800 for the service. If you were to go to my website today, you'd see that it's $1,250 for the package of all of that. But I'm in a situation just right now where I'm wanting to feel stimulated and to connect to new and interesting businesses and copywriters doing new and interesting things. And, just see what's out there and just talk to more people who are working on projects that stimulate me. And so I decided to put together this presentation and put this offer out into the marketplace. And so for a limited time, I'm dropping this to my old no-brainer price on copy reviews. Instead of $1,800 or $1,250, It's just $500. And I kind of regret putting this out there. And as I'm looking at it, I'm feeling like it's too low, but it's an incredible deal for you for all that you're getting. Is there a catch? Well, number one, I want your results-based testimonial when we create a big breakthrough on your copy. I would love to be able to just put a bunch of testimonials up for all the people that I've spent some time looking at their copy and created a big breakthrough in their business. And so if you're going to take me up on this $500 price, I want you to turn around once you've improved the conversions on your copy or once you have a big winner and let me use your name and a few comments about the results that it generated. Another catch, I only have time to do a couple of these per week, and I'm going to limit you to fit in my schedule. And so I have specific days and times that I have available, and you'll have to work around those times. If I'm going to make this really good deal, you're going to have to work within my schedule. And the third catch is that, I do think the price is too low, so the offer could go away at any time. The only way to ensure this rate is to act now. I do back this up with the 2-part risk-free guarantee. Number one, if you don't feel at the end of our hour on the phone that what I've shared will significantly increase the response rate of your copy, let me know. I want you to be honest and truthful and upfront about this. But if you don't feel like I've given you value, let me know. You'll get a prompt and courteous full refund of every penny you paid. And number two, if you implement all my suggestions as I recommended. Now I know that's being very specific here, but I can't be responsible for you taking things in 58 different directions after I tell you do this, it will improve the response. But if you implement all my suggestions as I recommended and you run a head-to-head split test between your pre-review copy and the post-review copy, the copy that you've implemented my recommendations, and it doesn't increase your response rate and you're convinced it's because I gave you bad advice, let me know within 90 days. You'll get a prompt and courteous full refund as well. And so you're going to be happy with it by the time we get off the phone, and it's going to increase your sales and profits when you test it against what you had before, or else you get your money back. So again, you're getting a world-renowned copywriter helping you improve your copy. I'll spend an hour with you, I'll spend an hour before I get on the phone with you reviewing your copy, making notes, giving specific suggestions for how to make it work better. Then we get on the phone or Skype and we do a deep dive on my comments as well as big picture thoughts on the copy. You'll get an audio recording of the review that you can refer to as you make edits. And you can also submit the edited version of the copy up to 3 months after the review for a quick reaction from me. Plus, it's all backed up by my 2-part risk-free guarantee. So you really have only committed the money after I make you more money. Now, it's time for you to take action. This is a limited time offer to save $750 and over 50% on my copy review service. It's first come, first serve. So, I am at complete liberty to take it down. All you have to do, if you want to get started, if you want to reserve one of the spots that I have coming up, you click the button below this video to place your order, and you'll get direct access to my calendar to schedule your copy review call. And that'll all be automated. It'll tell you what time I have available in the coming weeks, and you'll be able to schedule the call. It'll tell you what to do to get on the phone with me. It'll tell you that you have to have your copy in at least 24 hours before the call, or we'll cancel it, and I'll do something else during that time. But it all starts when you click the button below, you place your order, and as soon as your order goes through, you'll get a link to set up a copy review time with me. So I want to thank you for joining me for this presentation. I hope that, whether or not you actually take me up on the copy review offer, that what you've learned today does help you improve the copy that you write, and it helps you improve the copy that you have out there in the marketplace, that those questions are helpful to you. But if you are really ready to just get this done, get immediate feedback on your copy, $500 with a 2-part risk-free guarantee is an incredible deal. And so I encourage you to take action now. All right, that's it. I'm Roy Furr, and I want to thank you very much. And to bigger breakthroughs. Talk to you soon. Bye.